Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Zach.
And this is HITBOX, the gaming podcast where we talk about whatever we darn well please. Thank you very much. And this time, we decided we're going to do another one of our lovely tiers of another game franchise that we both really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I personally didn't realize how few of these games I've played until we started doing the list and realized, oh my god, there's a million of these. Because I thought, honestly, I played about half. No, not even close.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
Well, did you honestly play about half after looking at this?
Yeah.
And that's a ton.
Yeah.
That's a ton. So we're going to be talking about Castlevania games today.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to tell you up front, just because there's so many of these, there's a bunch that we're not even going to cover because neither of us have played them and we don't feel comfortable rating games that we have not played. That's not okay.
Nope.
So, let's just start from the ones that neither of us know of. We try to put them in release order, so that's how we're going to be talking about the ones that we know. Here's some of the others.
This one right here. That is the new mobile version that came out. I've not touched it. I don't care.
You didn't touch Konami's new mobile game?
No, I don't want Castlevania Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's all we got to say about that.
Yeah, Castlevania Gotcha.
Yeah, we talked too much about Gotcha and all that other crap in the last episode. We're talking about stuff we like this time.
Actually good things.
Yeah.
Now, the next few games that I don't really want to talk about are the Bloodstain games, right along the bottom here. These are made by Koji Igarashi and his team, and also Inti Creates. They're Castlevania,
but I can see why people would put them on this list. They would consider it Castlevania, but
it's not.
It's not a Castlevania game.
They're good games, but they're not Castlevania games. It's not what we're talking about, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like if, for some reason, say the composer of Castlevania worked on Hollow Knight for some reason, it's not a Castlevania game.
Next one we're not talking about is the Game Boy version of Kid Dracula. This is the version we eventually got here in the States, but we're going to be talking about another version that, came out that we never did.
We will get there. So I believe some of the other ones on here you didn't want to rate because they are non-canon, is that right?
Some of them, I do want to rate them because they're still Castlevania games, but it's like these ones at the end, I have no idea. I think this one was a Java mobile game from in the flip phone era days.
Oh my.
This one. I'm not sure what this one is, or this one. I think this is just a publicity photo for Castlevania 2 for Nintendo Power.
Yeah, it says Simon's Quest, so I don't know.
I don't know either.
But anyway, clearly there's a lot of these games, and to avoid from this being ridiculously long, because you know how long we go in these videos anyway, I was like, okay, we don't even need to spend extra time researching what these obscure things are. Let's just talk about the main Castlevania games, because that's what you guys are here for. You probably were intimidated when you first clicked on this video and went, oh my god, there's so many in here. We're going to try and keep it under control and go quicker.
Konami was not messing around when it came to Castlevania. They wanted that money.
No.
But everything has a start.
It does.
So we should start at the beginning.
From a certain game called Castlevania.
This one?
First one. Yeah, we're just going to be going in order, so every game we're looking at is going to be right there.
Yep.
So
we actually prepared for this eventuality.
Yeah, look at that. The first time we actually put them in order before we started. So, I've beaten this game.
Yep, I have too.
Yeah, for most of the Castlevania games on my list that I wanted to rate, I have beaten because I'm stubborn and I don't want to move on until I have actually beaten the game.
I was going to say, I've beat most of these, or I've played enough of them to actually form a good opinion.
Good, you are going to be the go-to guy for this. I'm just going to be blabbering for the little bit of time that I have the justice, but I did beat this one. And I really like this game.
I do too.
This is a really good NES game. I think it holds up today.
Yeah, no, because the thing I think that really separates it from its peers is that, you know how in some games, the level design was made first, and then, the moveset and the characters were kind of made after.
Yeah, you could feel like that in Mega Man. It doesn't feel like he works really well with some of the scenarios or the enemies, but yeah, the first one I'm talking, 2, I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Castlevania, it just plays so well. And also with so much weapon variety, and it all plays well. It's not like, say, Ghosts and Goblins, for example, where there is 1 or 2 weapons you want to get and then just forget everything else.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the Holy Water's really good. But it's not like you want to forget the cross, or there's so many different ways you can play through this. It's just so great.
Although I will say the holy water in this game is broken as all get out.
It is, yeah.
That's what I'd like to stick with as much as I can, but in certain scenarios, it's not the end-all be-all.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you get to Dracula, and I'm pretty sure you want to have the cross by that point.
You want to have the cross to get him in the head, and then you want to save the holy water for when he transforms into a second form.
Yes.
Right, and the other thing I love about this game, it's not just mash the button and hope you win, like in Contra or like a run gun. There's actually a delay when you hit the attack button and when Simon
Right, yes,
whips.
to wind up, because it's a whip. And I really like that in the gameplay, because you kind of have to plan where you're going to be and how you're going to bounce away from some enemies that are not going to die in one hit.
Right, it's very much that whole, I guess... I almost want to say lazy game journalist comparison. It's like Dark Souls in that regard, where you kind of have to plan out how you want things to go.
Dark Souls is like Castlevania.
Oh.
So where would we rate that guy?
I have that as an A.
We agreed on that one. I put it in an A as well.
All right.
I thought I was putting it up a little too high, but honestly, I think this game is so solid that I still want to go. Like, if I'm going to play a Castlevania game, honestly, I want to grab that one, and it's not just me loving retro games. It's a really good game.
Yeah, so if you guys can get this, this is on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not on NSO, but you can still play it on the Switch. Can you play it on Steam?
Yeah, there's actually a version of it on Steam.
Oh yeah, the Castlevania collection.
Yeah,
right.
On PS4 and Xbox
and that's a great
One.
collection of these games too. So.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, you are missing out on some of the big ones. I would say like Symphony of the Night's kind of a shame it's not on there. There's a few others like the Game Boy. The Game Boy collection did release though.
Yes, it did.
So you can play the Game Boy Advance, I should say. The Game Boy Advance ones you can't play. The Game Boy ones are on the regular Castlevania collection.
Yep.
So, there's ways to play them.
Yes. Now, finally.
Yeah, and Symphony of the Night is not even on the PlayStation Classic.
No, I know.
Why is it so hard to play that game?
I don't know.
But anyway, we're gonna move on. So this next one is actually kind of a weird one. I have this on my modded NES Classic, just so that I can showcase and play the game, because this is an MSX exclusive, I believe. I don't think it ever went anywhere else. This is a game that was, I think, just a mod that they made of the original Castlevania.
It was made at, I think, the same time, because it was released in the same year as Castlevania 1.
And honestly, I think it's more of an ambitious attempt of what they were probably going to go for with Castlevania.
Yeah,
like making like a non-linear way to play the game.
Yeah, because if you look at what this one is, which is called Vampire Killer.
Yeah, I should have said that.
Yeah, outside of Japan. You kind of see where they're starting with this and would go with into the next game when we talk about it. That whole kind of exploration, finding keys to open treasure chests and stuff.
However, I think that this kind of does that a little better. Marginally.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to the next game, but this one, there's something you would think, like I would put it right next to the first one, but there's something that kind of dies when you do that.
Yeah.
However, that concept isn't really going to get fully realized and fleshed out, I think, until we hit Symphony. We're doing some very healthy experimentation with this game, and I think that's important. But at the same time, I didn't quite have as much fun with this one.
No, for me it was the hit detection and the jumping arc and stuff. It felt so off. Because, like, you know how in the NES version, if you hit the candle at any point on it, it automatically breaks?
Yeah.
You have to hit either the base or the flame. Like, the hitbox is that small.
That's just weird. And
and it's just typical 80s MSX jank.
Well, yeah, and also a lot of like the rules and like how the world works is just weird. So like you progress to the right thinking it's Castlevania and you hit a locked door. You have no idea how to open it and you just get bored and start exploring, going backwards, and you hit pots and stuff that you thought maybe was in the background.
Right.
And no, this drops some shape that you don't know what it is. Is this the key to open the door? No, it's some other thing you need for something else. And the game is a lot of that.
How long did it take us to figure out how just to even get to the next screen? Because we played this for a while.
Yeah, we did. I don't remember, but it was a while.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad we did. I'm glad we messed around with it. Like I said, it's healthy experimentation, but unfortunately, I think that this shows its age a lot more than NES Castlevania, where because of the NES limitations, they were just like, just go to the right, or, you know, just you're climbing up, you're actually doing all sorts of directions in the original Castlevania, but really just get to the end of the level, fight the boss, go to the next level, and, you know, eventually kill Dracula.
Typical,
I think that actually does better in old Castlevania, so honestly, I put this as a C.
That's where I actually had it.
Wow, this never happens. We can agree the whole way through this. Well, I only have so many games. It might happen.
Well, with Zelda, I mean, it's like we agreed for the most part with Zelda.
Yeah, but there's so many. Yeah, there's so many Zelda games.
Yeah.
And even so, when we disagreed, it was like A to S kind of thing.
It wasn't that big.
Right, that's more disagreeing of like how legendary is this game.
Yeah. But moving on, speaking of legendary in a sense, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest.
Legendary for the wrong reasons. This is the NES taking that idea from Vampire Killer of how do we take this game and let someone explore in different directions and find things that they need to eventually defeat Dracula and go through dungeons to do it, which is a really cool idea.
Yeah. It really is.
No, honest to God, if we're gonna get a remake of any Castlevania game, I want this one.
Yes.
I want to see this, like, with Symphony of the Night control level, where, like, you have dungeons in different directions, and I would probably change up the grind for money to buy an oak stake to just break the next piece of Dracula to get it to go move on. Put bosses in there, put mini-bosses in.
Yeah.
This would be really cool.
Yeah, because there's not that many bosses. I think there's only like 2 or 3 throughout the whole game.
And I think they're optional. You could just walk past them.
Yeah, this is where Camilla makes her first appearance as that floating mask.
Right, and I think you do it to death as well. But
yeah,
Dracula...
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. So basically the premise of this... actually, we probably should be avoiding that. This video is going to be way too long if we talk about the story of these games. Maybe eventually if I review these, but... It's just weird.
Yeah, you're going around picking up pieces of Dracula to break a curse set on you.
Yeah, we actually did get to talk about this and play it a bit in HITBOX in the episode. What year was that?
1987.
87. So yeah, check those out if you want to actually see more information on these. But just for now, because we probably should move on. We have way too many of these to talk about.
Oh God, yeah.
Honestly, I feel bad about this because I really love the idea, and like I just said, I want to see a new version of this, kind of like Zelda 2. Like, I think people hate on the game, and they really should be going, wow, this is kind of impressive for what it's trying to do, but to be completely honest, this game's a D.
I have it as a C.
Yeah.
Mainly because there's other games that come eventually that
For my perspective, it felt as a D. And honestly, if I'm going to be talked into moving it, I'm fine with C because, like I was just saying, I'm justifying this. And if I'm justifying what I think is the worst Castlevania game, this is a pretty darn good series.
Yeah. No, well, because for me, too, I stick by what I said in the original video. There is the core of a good game in there, but the execution is so wonky.
Right, and the translation's horrible. And on top of the fact that the hints people were giving you, some were just lies.
And I think some of them were even made to lie in the American translation.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then some of them were, like, referencing, like, Japanese, like, phrases that don't even make sense at all.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be like a play on words or something, but it just doesn't work in English.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of that in this game. So like I said, if it were just fixed up, and actually there are fan remakes of this game that are really phenomenal. So check those out if you're interested in Simon's Quest. But for the sake of moving on, because that is an interesting topic all in and of itself, I feel like we could make an entire podcast just complaining about a certain game.
We could.
How about you tell us a little bit about the history of Haunted Castle, next one?
Haunted Castle is a pile of garbage. It is not a good game.
To be honest, I should have saved the D category for Haunted Castle, but I didn't personally play it. I've seen people play it.
I've tried it, and I've watched I watched someone play it. I don't have this on MAME or anything like that. It's not worth taking up the megabytes that it does. It's not worth that space. So, it's a retelling of sorts of Simon Belmont's beginning. Yeah. And you're basically going to Castle Dracula and going to kill him because you kidnapped your wife when you first got married. Sure. And it's like, okay. And this one is a quarter muncher and a half.
Yeah,
it hates you.
That's the reason that this is so bad.
And it will kill you.
It's ridiculously difficult. I'm pretty sure even like the animations, your hitboxes, everything is just... Yeah. It's like intentional jank to try and swallow quarters.
There are statues that fall into the foreground to try to crush you. You can wait until they start to dissolve and almost go away. You walk in, and at the very last frame, when it looks like nothing's there, you take damage. And it's like, okay.
It's just unfair.
No, and
it's just completely unfair. So I'm assuming this you're throwing into.
Oh, this is D for sure.
This is D. Anyway, look more up on Haunted Castle if you want to at least laugh. have a laugh.
Yeah.
Watch maybe if there's speed runs in this game, that'd be a laugh.
There are some people who've done like no-hit runs on this game.
God. I mean, I've seen a no-hit run of Ninja Gaiden, so anything's possible.
Sheesh.
So, this next one is a weird game.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about Kid Dracula.
Kid Dracula. It's not my favorite of the whole series, and it's a side story, it's a spin-off, where I don't know because the translations are weird, but you're either Dracula as a kid or Alucard.
Yeah, right, we're not really sure.
But anyway, like you've been asleep for 10,000 years, and the whole time, a demon called Galamoth comes and takes your castle. Go beat him up.
Yep.
And it's like, it's so cool. You beat up ghosts with like little fireballs that you actually throw. You can ride a roller coaster. You're in the sky at some point. It's a very whimsical take on the series.
It's like a self-made parody.
Yes, yeah.
It's so weird. This is also included in the Castlevania collection, I think?
Yes, it is.
It's just
the NES version.
Yeah, bizarre. I didn't play enough of this one. I dabbled in it, but where would you like to place this?
See, in my list, it wasn't even in there, but I would put but I put it as a middle-of-the-road game, a B.
Yeah, okay. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but it doesn't do anything that, would evoke Castlevania.
It's inoffensive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reference to a certain character later, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, we are now getting into some portable stuff, which is, once again, on the Castlevania collection. That is a huge list of games. Even though it's missing some huge stuff, it's got a lot of great things on it.
Oh, yes.
So the first Game Boy game, now is this just called Castlevania Adventure?
Castlevania The Adventure.
You
gotta remember, it's not just Castlevania, which wasn't an adventure, it is The Adventure.
The Adventure. I think I started this one. I didn't get too far in it because there was too many other things I was playing at the time.
Yeah, you were best to probably skip over this one.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay.
It played alright.
It played alright, but
enough like in the NES on Game Boy.
For me,
faithful enough.
It was faithful enough, but there was a few things in it that just kind of holds it back for me. It was made at the time when the Game Boy just had that dot matrix screen, and things were so blurry and messy, so it moves really slow, and it feels like really awkward to jump and control. I
could kind of feel some of that too, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the mechanics that I never understood was that, you know how you get power-ups when you break candles and you find the whip upgrades? You can eventually get like a little fireball with your whip in this one.
Okay.
But when you
like
take
a projectile when you swing.
Right, which you can hit
does
the
it
enemy.
cost hearts?
No.
Okay.
But if you get hit once, it's gone.
Oh, so it's like I think Bloodlines did that too. Like if you got hit one time, you lost your whole whip power up and you had to build it up again.
Yeah, that's a slight variation of it. Yeah, but this one like also takes away the strength of it.
That's brutal.
So you have to find another whip upgrade to get back up to that same power.
Yikes. And the fact that it basically gave you that Legend of Zelda full health kind of beam on top of it, and that's gone too, that stinks.
Yeah, it's not a bad game.
It's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's a bad idea.
It wants to challenge you to be a better player, but when you're trying to fight, like when you're trying to climb up a staircase that you have to jump, and eyeballs are falling from the ceiling on top of you, and you can't accommodate for that.
Just from your description of it, it sounds like you're going to place this in a C.
Yes. It is defos a C. It's not bad, but it's nowhere near a D level game.
Yeah, and honestly, I still want to complete Simon's Quest one day, and this is another one that I'd like to complete if I have all the time in the world to play every video game ever, but we keep getting older by the years, so...
I'm starting to count gray hairs.
Yeah, oh, me too. Me too. So let's just move on instead of just
existential crisis over.
Preparing our gravestones as messily as the end of Simon's Quest. How about Dracula's Curse?
Yes.
The last of the NES trilogy.
I love this game.
This game's hard.
This game is hard.
I beat this game, and apparently there are multiple pathways in this game.
Yes.
Not so much like Simon's Quest where you're doing totally different dungeons in whatever order.
Right.
This is like you get to the end of a level and you can choose to go up or down a staircase.
There's a branching path.
Yeah, which determines like which characters you can get on your journey. And I should not have apparently been taking Kim's advice. So I was like, Kim, should I go up or down? She's like, oh, go down. I'm like, okay. And then I get to the end of the next level, go down. All right.
Yeah, whatever.
Zach said for me to play the Japanese version, it would be easier, which it is.
It is, yes.
But I was like, this is still freaking hard. Is he out of his mind? Well, apparently if you keep going down, that's the hardest path.
Yes. I always play it to where I go up at the first level, And because when you go up that way,
like Grant Dynasty earlier.
Yeah, you get the pirate Grant Dynasty. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Who
I didn't get any help until I got to Alucard, and it's like, oh, he's not even that much of a help.
Yeah, no, and honestly, of the 3 characters you can get, Alucard, Grant Dynasty, and Sypha, Sypha's the best because she has homing projectile spells. And this whole game takes place even before the first Castlevania. This is like the 1400s.
Yeah.
The timeline is such a freaking mess.
Get into that because it's a disaster.
We can talk about that as a whole.
I still had a lot of fun with it. It was basically more of the first one, which is what I was left wanting. More variety, more options, more playable characters.
It looks better. It sounds better, especially the Japanese version sounds so good.
So great. So it's a really great game, but still something about me, I guess, when I made my list, made me pull it down just slightly below the original. Maybe it was the crazy difficulty of it. Also, granted, consider what my playthrough was.
Yeah.
I put it as a B just because if I'm personally going to go back and play for fun one of the Castlevanias on NES, I'm picking the first one. So
yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's perfectly understandable. Personally, I have it as an A.
I can see that. Yeah.
I think it's just as good as the first game, especially if you guys play the Japanese version.
I would advise that too.
Yeah, because the American version was
you get hit with
harder.
almost like double damage.
Yep, it was to combat the rental market, so you couldn't beat it in a weekend.
That's not okay.
But I love the character
can definitely appreciate that. Also, I think I put it in B to make sure that I had personally something in each tier. And yeah, so I'm gonna go with yours here, and we're gonna place that guy in an A.
Yeah, it's a good game.
At the very least, if you have them side by side, this is just as good as the original for different reasons.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I can totally agree with that. Next on here, we'd have another Game Boy game. I think this was, I thought there were only 2, because the collection only gives you these 2, but it looks like coming up there is a 3rd one to talk about. We'll get there when we get there. I didn't even know about that. But what is Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge? Is that what it says?
Yes, it is. There's another 2.
But there's already a Castlevania 2.
No. This is Castlevania 2.
Okay.
Game Boy.
But
Game Boy 2.
Belmont's Revenge?
Yep, because in this one, this is a sequel to the Game Boy game where Simon, I think this is like Simon Belmont's kid, Soyu, or whatever the French word is for son, is kidnapped by...
Okay.
Yeah, S-U-N. He's his son who's named Son. Ha ha ha.
That's... Wow.
He's kidnapped by Dracula. You gotta go get him back. The thing I like about this game, it's a lot faster than the first one because, they were getting more used to the way the Game Boy worked.
Yeah.
And you start out with 4 levels, and you can choose whichever level you want to go to first.
That's cool.
Yeah, so the thing is you have to beat all 4 levels to get to Dracula's castle.
Oh, I see. So kind of Mega Man-ish.
Yes.
In Castlevania. I kind of like that. Actually, that's kind of like figuring out a better way to do Simon's Quest.
Yeah.
And they're doing it really early after that. That's impressive.
Yeah, and it flows a lot better. There's more on screen, and he controls a lot nicer in this one.
Okay, sounds like I got to play this one next when I go back to my collection.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up.
That's good, because I did not get a chance to play it. So I was like, thinking chronologically, I should play the first one, but...
I mean, you should to see the nice gap.
Yeah, I started with it just to dabble in it, and I was like, I think I'm going to play something else.
I have this as a B.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's definitely a good one. Again, not anything special, but for a Game Boy game, very solid.
Cool.
Yeah.
We are moving on to the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Oh my god. Super Castlevania 4.
Super Castlevania 4.
This is one of the best games on the Super Nintendo.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
I love this game.
It is a very good game.
This is, if you can't tell, this is another one where I was like, I'm going to beat this game.
You did?
Because, yeah, I did. It was hard. It gets hard.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, I think it's, for the most part, fair hard. There are some things that are questionable, which Castlevania always, up to this point, has been questionable in its difficulty in some regards. But this, I feel like, is the most fair because of how agile you are.
Yes.
I miss this. Like, if we could get a modern Castlevania game like this, which is this is for the most part a remake of the NES game.
Yes.
So of course
it's another retelling, which Konami really loved to do for some reason.
But they're numbering it, whatever. But still, I reviewed this game.
Yeah, you did.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
it was
plug.
Because you picked it out and you were like, yeah, you should review this. And I was like, hey, Halloween's coming up. Halloween special.
There you go.
Yeah, so that worked out. This game is so much fun.
It is a heck of a lot of fun.
Just the way that you can like wiggle the whip around anywhere and how it like even cheeses damage. I know you've complained at some point saying that like it kind of discourages you from using your sub-weapons because the whip is so good.
Right.
But I love the whip so much.
Yeah, so, because to really quickly talk about it real quick.
Yeah.
In earlier Castlevania games, you could only whip forward.
Yes.
In this one, you have 8 angles at which you can whip.
Yes, it's not just, the irregular cardinal directions and then your diagonals.
Yep.
You can also then, like, whip and hold.
Uh-huh.
And then you can start, like, just moving,
Flailing
free-forming
the
the whip. And things will not just take a single point of damage. It's like the hitbox will keep reattaching itself every single time you strike.
And it can also serve as a guard, like if there's a projectile coming towards your feet.
You can block projectiles with it.
Yep.
You can defeat enemies from below the levels by, like, dangly fishing to kill them. There's so much you can do with it. I just love that. I feel like if you're going through a haunted mansion armed with a whip, you're not going to just whip forward, right? I mean, there's bats coming over your head. Like, that's the thing that's really scary in some of the other games. There's enemies, like, all over the place. And you need to figure out, how do I deal with these Medusa heads that are, like, snaking across the screen?
Yep.
Yeah, well, now you can just aim diagonally, make a blockade with your whip by
And you can also adjust your jump in midair. You can actually,
that's so good.
It's
you
not
can
fixed.
Moonwalk up the stairs.
Yes, that is the most important part.
I mean, the music is spectacular. The graphics are spectacular. Is it any secret that I want this in an S?
No, I totally get it.
I love this game. So,
it is a really good game.
Where'd you place it?
I had it as an A.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay, I thought this was going to be a shoe-in, but...
No, it's a really good game. I wholeheartedly enjoyed it. It's just, like you said, it's the whole fact that you are so good with that whip. That whip is so good, like, you don't really need, like, the axe or the dagger.
You think it's too easy?
No, I don't think it's too easy at all. And that's another part of my complaint later on, like, towards the end.
Yeah, the areas like with the gold treasure area. Gosh, the entire area right before Dracula himself. Slogra is way too hard.
Slogra and Daibon, yeah.
Ugh. That is a little messed up. So, yeah, it's not without faults, but for the Super Nintendo...
Oh, no, I'm not going to disagree with that, but it's, for me, there was a better Castlevania game.
I kind of wish it was a little more attainable to get really good at the game and just casually beat Dracula, but
you're not going to casually do it.
No, even if you're really good at the game, no, you have to be like a pro speedrunner and know how to manipulate like the RNG of where certain monsters are going to spawn in and how to take advantage of Slogra's pattern, mostly Slogra. Yuck. So I can see that. Honestly, this one, I'm going to give you this. Again, this is basically your list. I'm gonna let you have it. All right, let's move on to what the heck is that?
Okay, so this is Castlevania Chronicle. This was a PC game. This was like a Sharp X 68,000 game that was made for the Japanese market.
Okay.
This is a remake of Castlevania 1. Again.
I mean, that's fine. It's a great game, but...
So, I have not touched this one, really.
Okay.
Because my thing is, we're going to talk about that a little bit later down the line.
Yeah.
It's a good game, but again, I'm like, there's so many other remakes and so many other like versions of the same game, like Castlevania 4, that I would rather play.
Exactly.
Because this one goes back to the whole classic fixed sort of jump, the more straightforward whip and all that. It was really pulling off a lot of cool graphical stuff, especially at the time, but...
Maybe at the time it was cool, it sounds like, but if you're going for a retro Castlevania game, you really can't beat the original.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to place it somewhere, like, low C.
Low C?
Yeah, low C. However,
yeah, we got a very good one coming up here.
Oh my god. Rondo of Blood.
Rondo of Blood.
I love this game so much.
You know what sucks about it, though?
What?
You can't play it!
Not unless you got a PS4.
Yeah.
And are willing to shell at $20 to $30 to get this and Symphony of the Night.
I know. It also, it's the fact that, like, even its file size is enormous. So, yeah, it's just outrageous, like, trying to even ask if it was going to be placed in a Castlevania collection, because most of that collection is just going to be dealing with Rondo of Blood. But why is that game so large?
Oh my god. Okay, so how do I go about this? This was a TurboGrafx 16 CD game.
Yeah.
Because you remember how we were talking about Ease before and how big that one was?
On our yearly videos.
Yes, 1989.
Episodes.
Yep. So this one is phenomenal. It's got a lot of animated cutscenes. There's voice acting. The whole intro cinematic, for whatever reason, it's Japanese only. All the rest of the voices are in Japanese, but the intro is narrated in German. I don't know why.
Oh my
Japan.
god. Japan.
But-
did they like get they're like, okay, this one's gonna be as authentic as possible, and then they like got the wrong country?
I think so, yeah.
That's hilarious.
And the thing about this one too, remember how we were talking about in Castlevania 3 how there's branching paths? This one takes that concept and rolls with it.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways you can go about beating this game. Because the whole premise is you're Richter Belmont, my favorite Belmont in the whole series, and your girlfriend, Annette Reynard, has been kidnapped along with 3 other girls who are going to be sacrificed to bring back Lord Dracula. You can go through the game and not rescue anybody and just go fight Dracula.
Just kill him.
Just let them be sacrificed, whatever. Or, if you know where to look, there are specific keys you can find in each level which unlock a door to get to a hidden boss to unlock and save a specific girl. And even Maria Reynard makes an appearance in this one, who we'll see later on in the series. And she's also an unlockable character in this one, too. Yep. And it's such a big game, and I've never played a more agile Belmont than in this one and in Symphony of the Night.
Really? Over Super Castlevania 4? Well, granted, this is one I haven't gotten to play.
Yes.
This is probably a good tangent to bring up what I did play.
Yes.
I played Dracula X, which is not the same game.
No.
Though they were, from my understanding, trying to port it to the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
And obviously you can't just port a CD game to the Super Nintendo.
No.
A lot of sacrifices were made, and it feels like it from what I played. I mean, what I played was still okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, so where did you play Rondo of Blood?
S.
I thought so.
Yes. I love this game so much.
I know I am missing out so badly with that, but...
Yeah, if you can find a way to play it, try.
I will, yes. I tried to try.
Try to try.
I try to try. Though this next one I did play.
Yes.
And it was because it was on, let me see.
The Anniversary Collection.
The Anniversary Collection of Castlevania.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
so it wasn't, so it was not with the Genesis stuff. So,
No.
weird. It should have been.
It should have.
It should have been, because this is an outstanding game. This is Castlevania Bloodlines for Sega Genesis. I had a really good time with this.
This is another really good one, yeah.
Yeah, the graphics and music is just really like if Super Castlevania 4, outside of the super agile whip, I mean, unfortunately, we're giving that up, but take everything else about that game, the music, the creature design, the levels, the animations, the sprite work, all of it. Just take all of that and put it on the Genesis, and don't try and remake Castlevania 1. Do your own thing.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Yeah, this is a direct sequel to the novel Dracula, which I love. The novel Dracula is part of the Castlevania timeline.
Yes, that's awesome. Honestly,
it's
a
good.
weird side tangent. On my enormous video game resume, where I like catalog all sorts of things that I've played, I have like a little special gold bar for my favorite game of that console. This is my favorite Genesis game.
Really?
Yeah, because
Nice.
of like how great this was. I
Yeah.
did beat this too. This was really hard too.
I know. Especially when you get up to death in this one, and he's got his weird card game thing he plays.
Yeah, I had to eventually just start like looking online, like how do you cheese this guy? And there was a couple where I was like, I'm just gonna shamelessly do this because I just want to beat this game.
Right.
But it was still a really good time.
Now, did you play with Quincy Morris or did you play with Lacard?
Oh,
Yeah, because that is another thing with this game.
Yeah, I forget their names, but I basically played with the Belmont.
Oh,
style.
Quincy Morris.
Yes,
okay.
I played with just the whip, and then after I went back, I was trying out the other character.
Yep.
I was like, oh, this is really interesting because this way, like, I have like a spear, I think, and you can pole vault up really high with it. And that was cool. I thought, okay, this would be nifty with like some of the platforming segments, but I wouldn't really want to fight a boss like this.
Right. Well, some of the platforming stages actually were altered to accommodate for that skill.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah, that was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't get too far on that run. I was mostly just trying to play with the character and see what it was like.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so where did you rate this?
It's a really good game, and I like it a lot. I still have it as a B, personally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because again, coming from Rondo of Blood and Super Castlevania 4, it feels like there's a couple steps back, but everything else about it I wholeheartedly love. I love the fact that it's bloodier, gorier. I love the fact that it's a little bit more challenging in some regards.
Yeah.
And I love
in the right regards.
Yes, and I love the music. I just love the way the Genesis sounds.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, in Super Nintendo, that era just sounds amazing.
Yes, exactly.
I personally put it in an A. Yeah.
Depending on my mood, I would probably swing between an A and a B.
Okay.
But
how about this? Do you have more A's or B's on your list?
I have an equal amount.
Crap.
Yes.
I was gonna say that might change our minds here, but I kind of see it on par with Super Castlevania 4, and like the same way I can see Castlevania NES 1 next to Dracula's Curse. In that same regard, I kind of see this as like brothers with it.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that. Fine.
Okay.
I was gonna say I don't want to hold back your opinions on anything either, and it's like I said, depending on my mood, it's either a very good game or just I like it a lot, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna go back between one of those two, I'm gonna choose Super, but at the same time, I said the same thing between Dracula's Curse and Castlevania 1, but I still think they're both great games.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, what is this coming up here?
This is the one that we had talked about, what you called Vampire's Kiss, or Dracula X.
Oh, I see. I didn't recognize the art for it, because a lot of times Dracula X, they use the art from Rondo of Blood, but it's not Rondo of Blood.
No, this is actually the European name and European box art.
Yeah. So I guess to make sure that we could visually see it from here, so that's helpful.
Now, this game you can actually play on the Game Boy Advance collection for some reason.
Oh, well, I'm glad they at least gave it to people.
Yeah.
Because I had no other way to access this game.
Right, yeah, so you get the 3 Game Boy Advance games plus this one. And I have yet to really beat this one, but I've played into it well enough.
You probably would want to dabble in it just because you love Rondo of Blood so much, but at the same time...
I would rather play Rondo of Blood.
Exactly, it's a game that just makes you want to play Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
It's almost... It really is. You know what? I hate this phrase, but this is probably the only time that it's like fair to use this. This game might literally be a demake.
Yeah.
I hate the phrase because nowadays people say that like, let's do, I'm just going to throw a random 3D game, like Uncharted. Do an Uncharted demake, where what if it was made on the NES? Okay, but...
You're making a side-scrolling shooter at that point.
Exactly, but at the same time, yeah, exactly. That's not...
What this is.
You are devaluing retro games by saying that, and I don't like it for that regard. But this came out after and was made for the full intention of running on an inferior console, hardware-wise.
Right.
So, of course, it was basically their job to produce a demake.
Yeah.
Still don't like that word. Feel yucky saying it.
But I mean, what else are you going to say? You're not going to say just like a poor port. I mean, because it's not.
There's no other way to describe what it is. Yeah. So I'm really curious. Where did you rate this? How much does that port really hurt the game? Because unfortunately, it can't help.
No, I have it down as a C.
Yeah.
Like, it works, and you can definitely tell that they tried. And I love the fact, too, that the levels are pretty different between the two games, and that it tries to be its own thing while telling a sort of semi-similar story. However, since I've yet to beat it, I actually watched a playthrough, and I watched towards the end. Yeah. I have no idea how you're supposed to get to the ending.
Sheesh.
You want to know you want to know the battlefield in which you fight Dracula in this one?
Is it one of those moving platforms, tiny little things everywhere?
Kind of. There's a bottomless pit, and there's columns you have to jump between, and Dracula can knock you off.
I think I might have seen that too.
That's where that comes from.
I've played something like that. There was like a third phase in, maybe it was Bloodlines, where the final phase of Dracula was like that, where the bits of the floor start moving around and you have to jump between those. Like, good lord. I mean, Dracula himself was not hard to fight, so clearly the designers are like, we just got to make the environment hard to be in.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a mess. Oh, good lord! We got a certain one I'm sure we both want to talk about here. We have moved to the PlayStation, and Symphony of the Night is out. Oh. Is this a good game?
I don't know. Is this a good game?
I think it's all right.
It's okay.
I mean, if you're making a PlayStation Classic, you could probably skip this one.
You probably could.
No, we're clearly being sarcastic. This is.
I was gonna say, don't keep the charade up.
No, sorry. This game is outstanding. It is a damn shame it is not on the PlayStation Classic.
Oh, I know.
Personally, I don't even think we need to boot around the bush. This is an S.
This is an S.
This is an S. This one game now, I kind of made a joke about it when I did my Castlevania 4 video about how they're like, oh no, this was inspired by not Metroid, it was Zelda, wink wink.
Yeah.
No, but it's such a great marrying of the genres to make such a great game that we are still getting games today inspired by this.
Exactly.
We're even getting the people who made this trying to make their own version of this, and they don't have the rights to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I said, we're not going to be talking about all of them, but still, it is so good. It's so clean. Just the introduction of the RPG mechanics.
Yep.
How you can find different items, you equip things in different hands, and how you can play with Alucard in different ways. You're playing as Alucard.
Yeah. And he controls so good.
He does. The entire map of Dracula's Castle is now a huge Metroidvania, which is the first time, unless you want to count Simon's Quest, which I don't really want to, this is the first time we're really putting the Metroid in the Metroidvania.
Yes, yeah.
Like, wholeheartedly, that's what this is. You're going around figuring out where you can go to explore, leveling up, getting stronger, which is totally the Castlevania part.
Yep.
From here on, because it's weird, because before this, there was no leveling up.
Well,
but nowadays, when people say Metroidvania, the Vania is referring to that part of this game.
Onwards, yeah. Because from what I understand, they wanted to make this game because one of the producers had found a bunch of Castlevania games in a bargain bin for like maybe 10 to 100 yen. So like $1.
Wow.
So they wanted to make something that people would want to go back to and would want to keep for a long while. Ergo, we got this game.
And you know what's really hilarious about this? I am seeing modern day people going through old magazines where they're seeing advertisements. You know, old video game advertisements were very insulting in the 90s.
Yeah,
they were just straight up
too.
Straight up saying about like, this game sucks, look at that. And there's some great shots I've seen where people are talking about the new 3D looking Mega Man. What was the N64 one?
Mega Man Legends.
Yeah, Mega Man Legends. And we probably know in hindsight that game is kind of trash.
It's fine.
Trash is pushing it a little too far, but it's
aged awkwardly.
Yes. And they're saying, look at how much more advanced and cool new Mega Man Legends is. Whereas if you're playing with a wimpy PlayStation, you're playing sissy games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night with outdated graphics.
Yeah.
This game looks beautiful.
Oh my god.
And Legends looks like a dumpster fire.
Yeah, you can see the tears and the polygons and in the world, but in this, they actually implemented the 3D well, like in the beginning.
Yeah, they took full advantage of the fact that we're going to a CD format. Let's make the best pixel art imaginable.
Like when you go through the church and like there's the giant monster that's like multiple swords and you watch as the stained glass moves in perspective.
There's so much, like
there's
so much that they have in this. There's so many creatures, the explosions, the effects, the everything, the after images,
the music,
the after images,
the
music.
The music is my favorite part of this game.
Yeah,
I still hum bits and pieces of this music to this day.
It is so good.
Like this is like one of the first games I ever played as a kid on my friend's PlayStation.
Oh wow, lucky you!
And so I'm like. It's stuck because it scared me as a kid. I'm like, oh my god, there's monsters. And then it's like as I grow up, I'm like.
Yeah, but
you're so good.
Yes, there's monsters, but you're the badass sword-slinging vampire who is cutting them down.
Exactly. It's so good.
It is so good. I really wish that Konami was still making Castlevania games because
I just wish they were making games.
I mean, just imagine a Symphony of the Night 2. Just imagine that could be a real game.
It could.
They could make that.
They'd make money hand over fist.
Oh my god, they would.
But it wouldn't make all the money in the world, though.
No. Even if Symphony of the Night 2, let's just say that Bloodstain was owned by Konami and they did this themselves, and they called it Symphony of the Night 2, because clearly that's what they wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you get what you wish for. It's not Symphony of the Night. That's what we're saying to say. Symphony of the Night is just S tier. It's great.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
What's not so great is Castlevania Legends.
Yeah, so, what's that?
Yeah.
I didn't even know this existed.
So this is the third Game Boy game, the Castlevania Game Boy game. This was released in 1997, around the time the Game Boy Color was going to be coming out.
Okay.
So you play as, this was supposed to be the start of the whole timeline.
Oh my god.
You play as Sonia Belmont,
the
first female Belmont, and you're going in to kill Dracula. It is a janky, mechanically broken mess.
That's so weird.
It was rushed
out after the other.
It was rushed.
Oh god. So they didn't even take the original. I'm sorry, the Castlevania 2 as like a starting point to port their mechanics.
No.
Why would you not do that if you're trying to rush the game?
I don't know. But what happened was hit detection is wonky. Her jump it feels stumpy. Like it's kind of like very quick.
Oh.
And also
the gravity's way too high or something.
Yeah, and also too, there's a thing in the game where it's like she can go berserk and she becomes invincible for a while and just mows down everything. What you do is you build up enough of it, just save it for a boss, kill them, move on.
That's not a great game
And
design.
the weird thing is that they kind of do with this, which I'm like, Because I appreciate the fact they're trying to make Sonya like a very, she's a badass character. She's going in by herself and killing all these monsters.
I can appreciate that. I would love to see them try and do stuff with a new female character. Just kidding. I guess Bloodstain did.
But it turns out that she's supposed to be the progenitor Belmont. She's the one responsible for giving birth to the next generation. Like, they almost kind of relegate her to just the mom.
Being the mom.
Yeah. So it's like, but... Yeah, it's not worth anybody's time to really go back to, and this is one of the games that's not included in the official timeline.
Okay.
So, it's not even really worth it for lore's sake.
Anyway. Did you place it?
I mean, guess where I have it.
I am assuming you put that in a D.
Yeah, it's a D for sure.
Yes, sounds like it's not doing so hot.
Another one
speaking of not doing so hot.
I have this
I can tell you that much already, just from what little I know about this one.
Okay. So, back in the 90s, when we were getting the 5th generation of consoles, there was this huge rush to push everything from 2D to 3D.
Yeah.
It did not work for everything.
You know what? It's because of games like this that I am a little glad Metroid never got an N64 game.
Me
as
too.
much as I wish it happened, because, like, nowadays I'm thinking, like, okay, we have really cool 3-dimensional, like, Metroid Dread, and Samus Returns.
Yeah.
2D Metroid games that if you did that on N64, it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
You could have played great, but nobody really wanted to do that back then. They were like, oh, but we can go into this new perspective, like Mario. It worked great for Mario because it's a game about jumping. Yeah. This is just what is this, Zach? what went wrong?
What I imagined they were trying to do, because, they were working on Symphony of the Night, and they did not really think that was going to be that successful, because, again, 2D, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, once again, it's like I was saying, it was the time. Yeah. It was the time. Like, ads like that were the norm. People were honestly looking at Symphony of the Night saying, this is inferior.
Yes. So this was going to be their big breadwinner.
Yeah. Ironic.
So what it is, it's a 3D version of the 2D action platformers, where you start out and you're going from the forest to Castle Dracula. You play as 2 other characters who are not related to the Belmonts.
Third person. Yes.
There's a lock-on system that came out after Ocarina of Time when they figured it out.
Yeah, it's also got a really janky, like, lock and key system where, like, you're trying to just progress. The colors are disgusting.
And this game is not finished either. This was another one rushed out. And you can tell.
Yeah, D.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a shame.
And followed very closely after, in the same year, 1999 holidays.
Oh my god.
Legacy of Darkness for the N64.
Oh my god, I didn't know it was that fast.
It was like maybe 6 to 8, 9 months difference.
Oh lord, that's not okay.
No, so this is basically what should have been released, and even then, it's not that great.
So is it really just like the finished version of the game?
Kind of.
Or it's not like a sequel or anything then?
Okay, so there was supposed to be 4 total playable characters at first.
Oh.
We only got 2.
Oh.
This one, we start out as Cornell the werewolf, who's going to save his girlfriend. And there's also a Frankenstein monster named Henry, like Henry Frankenstein.
Nice.
Yeah. So you play through those, and eventually you unlock Carrie and Reinhardt's stories, like from Castlevania 1.
Okay.
Only not everything is there, and their game levels have been changed up because of storage space.
There's no way you could do that on time either.
No. So it supports the expansion pack, where you can play in high resolution. It looks nice. It runs like utter garbage. It's not that great either. I can totally see what they're trying to do. It plays a little better, and it runs a little better. It's still not worth it.
Using the word utter garbage, I feel like it's just going where I think it's going.
Where do you think? Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, and time-wise, we need to move.
So let's see.
There's so many Castlevania games. All right, so Castlevania Chronicles.
Chronicles, yes. Okay, so remember how we were talking about the Chronicles on the Sharp X68000?
Yeah.
This is what we eventually got on the PlayStation. We got an arranged version plus the original Sharp version. Now, I think one of the things that someone who's played Smash, Smash comes up again, like it always does.
It always does.
You know, in Simon Belmont, how he's got like a pink kind of outfit. That comes from this game, because in the arranged version of this game and like the PlayStation version, his hair is pink, and he's got like different color armor. So nice little bit of trivia. But again, it doesn't really do all that much with the PlayStation. It's a classic playing Castlevania game, which you have a big pick from. from everything else.
Yeah, and on the PlayStation, I mean, you can clearly do better.
Yeah, I have it as a C.
It seems inoffensive.
Yeah. No, it's fine, and it's fun.
Fine.
But,
All right, we have the Advanced Trilogy.
Yes.
All right.
I love these games.
Yeah, it looks like well, of course you got them in release order.
Yep.
So, let's try and do this quick.
Circle of the Moon. Okay, so take Symphony of the Night and just play it from the perspective of like a Belmont-like character. Now, unfortunately, lore-wise, this one doesn't count. This is another one. This is the last one that was removed from the timeline as well. But
it's a shame because that. Yeah. I mean,
it's
already.
A fun game.
Yeah, you've already sold me on that.
Because the thing as well with this game that it does different from the other ones is called the like a dual card system. So you have to farm for it sometimes, but there are different cards that monsters can drop that give your whip elemental properties and various other functions.
Okay.
So like you can have like a fire whip that does more major damage to like plant monsters. There's ones that can freeze enemies in place, and you can use them like platforms to get to like secret items.
I see. So you're in front of a certain boss, and you realize, okay, I really need the. Is there an electric one?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so you're like, I really need the lightning one. So I gotta go back to this area and try and hold on to this thing so I can go fight the boss with it. I can see how that would get irritating, but it's a cool idea.
You can beat it without a lot of these cards.
Okay.
I did when I first played it. Okay. It's a fun game. I actually really like it. But
throw it?
Where did I throw it? It was a B game.
Okay.
It's not my favorite of the Game Boy Advance trilogy, but it's still really good.
All right, I think I know what that one is.
You probably do.
Yeah, so let's go to the next one.
Yes, Harmony of Dissonance. This is another really good game. We're back in the timeline. We are juiced Belmont. We are going to save, I think, your sister this time?
I don't remember.
It's something like that. It's been a while since I played this.
But you're definitely juiced.
Yeah, juiced. Yeah. Juiced in man.
Yeah, he's juiced.
But you're going in with your best friend who is kind of important, but I don't remember his name, so, you know.
Apparently he's not.
No, I mean, story-wise in the game, yeah, but it's back to a very classic Castlevania style of game. It's dropped everything, like, experimental, and it's Symphony of the Night, again, from a real Belmont this time. You level up, you find new items, you get new attachments to your whip, so you can still have elemental weaknesses, or just a giant, big, like, spiked ball at the end of your whip and just do extra damage. It's really fun.
Sounds like another fun one.
Yeah, it's an A. The things that hold it back for me is that it looks weird because it was made for the Game Boy Advance before the SP, so it's really bright and the characters have that weird outline, so they stand out.
Yeah.
And the music, like, I don't know what they did with the sound between Circle of the Moon and this one, but this music is just kind of grating. It's typical Game Boy Advance shrillness.
Which is an unfortunate effect of the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, but it's still good. Give it a shot.
All right, but moving on from there, we have the third Castlevania Advance game, which, by the way, you can get all three of these bundled together, like we mentioned before, the Castlevania Advance collection, so kind of recommend doing that. They're all... Yeah, they're all pretty good, but do they get better than A with Area of Sorrow?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. What do you think about this game?
It is my favorite of the trilogy.
Okay.
So this is like towards the end of the timeline. You are Soma Cruz, you're an exchange student in Japan, an eclipse happens, and you're in Dracula's castle.
Yeah.
So
in Japan.
Yeah, in Japan. But it's like a greatest hits of like a whole bunch of stuff. Like there's various cameos from like the past and like references to the lore. And
it plays a lot like Symphony, too. I've played a little bit of this. I've maybe beat like the first two bosses, but that's it.
This is Game Boy Advance Symphony of the Night.
Yes.
The thing that separates this from the other games and doesn't get in the way, which I really enjoy, is the soul system. So monsters will actually drop their souls, 3 different colors depending on what they are, like an attack soul, a utility soul, or a buff soul. Buff.
Yeah, buff soul.
But something that increases your stats or something.
Yeah, which was really weird and played really well. I thought it was pretty cool.
Right, and the thing that I appreciate about this one is that you don't have to grind out a certain monster to get a specific soul to progress in the game.
Right, you keep those.
Right, you can actually
it's more
find
like an item, kind of like in Symphony.
Yeah, like there's lamps that hold these souls in glass orbs. You break in order to get like a double jump or a glide and stuff.
Right.
It's so much nicer than what happens later on, but the story is amazing. You go to like a whole different dimension in this one, aside from being in the dimension you're already in.
Yeah, right.
It's phenomenal for me.
So,
the music is great, the animation's great. What else can I say? It's an S game.
It's an S game. I mean, that's good for me to hear because on my list, I put it as an A, but like I said, I only beat like the first 2 bosses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I need to put more time into it, and I know that. So I'm not going to, like, obviously I'm not going to try and argue that. Like,
No,
you
I get
clearly know way more about this one, and I want to keep playing. So if anything, you're telling me it just gets better.
Yeah, I lost count of how many times I beat this game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
Again, I got this around the time it came out, so this is around the time when you couldn't get that many games. So I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
there's only
find all
like
the
a
secrets.
handful of games I can name that I have honestly lost count of how many times I've beaten.
Yeah.
And yikes. So moving on, what do we have here?
Castlevania Lament of Innocence, the first PS2 game.
Okay.
So this is the true start of the Castlevania timeline. This takes place during the Crusades in the 1100s.
Okay.
You play. Let's see. Oh my gosh, what is dude's name?
You play as Dude. We need to move.
Play as dude. Yeah. But you play as the first Belmont, and it's an origin story for everybody from the Belmont family, their feud with Dracula, from Dracula himself. The thing that they tried to do again with this one is they kind of tried to do a whole 3D action platformer, like a 3D version of a 2D game.
Oh.
But it plays like Devil May Cry.
Okay.
In the fact that you have combos with your whip. Mm-hmm. You can actually upgrade your health and stuff. There's like a little shop. Gandolfini, this random Italian guy, comes up and he's an alchemist and he helps you with your stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know. Guess what movies were out around this time?
Right. What do you think of it?
It's not bad. If I wanted to play, though, a high-octane action game, I would play a Devil May Cry game.
Yeah, or Bayonetta.
Or Bayonetta. You play it for the lore.
Okay.
Where I had it, like, it's not a terrible game, but I have it as a C game. Like, it's not really It's Castlevania in the fact it's action-y and you kind of explore a little castle.
If anything, from how we do these, C means average to us.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Which kind of like it's kind of weird because technically B is down the middle, but I always kind of see C as an average. It's okay.
C is an okay game that it won't hurt you to play. B for me is like a good game.
Yeah, it's good.
A is really good.
S is
the best.
This is just phenomenal. So we're moving to the Nintendo DS.
Yep, the first of the DS trilogy, Dawn of Sorrow. This is a sequel to Aria of Sorrow. So, can I say spoilers? No, probably not, because this would end up spoiling the end.
It might. Yeah. Let's avoid that.
But you're still Soma Cruz.
Just our combat and gameplay and stuff like that.
You're still Soma Cruz. You're still going around a castle, fighting people. The art style's changed up. It's a lot more anime.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of moves away from, like, the Kojima art style. I forget her first name.
To be fair, I mean, look at the Game Boy Advance. And the cover, they were kind of trying.
Yeah, they did a good job. But, the thing is, this came out around the time the DS was fairly new, 2005. And like we've said before, whenever Nintendo comes out with a new system, they want their specific gimmicks in their system.
So that touchscreen is determining what?
So you can cast magic spells by, like, there's a little pentagram circle on the screen, and you take your stylus and make symbols on the bottom screen.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, but when you're in the middle of a boss fight and if the
that's not
result
cool.
is if you fail, you get smacked.
Oh yeah, it needs to function well.
And it's hard. Like, it's precise. It wants you to be like, I don't have the steadiest of hands.
You know, that sounds like a cool idea for like a mobile Castlevania.
Yeah.
But not in a DS, because I feel like the accessibility, you are really hurting it there if you don't have another way to play it.
Yeah, because you're holding the DS and the control pad and all that in one hand and the stylus in the other. And also, too, I think that's how you actually also have to absorb some souls.
It's reminding me of Prime Hunters. That is not a comfortable way to play anything.
Yeah, so that's what really holds it back for me. But it's still Aria of Sorrow, but for me, it's nowhere near as good as Aria.
It's a shame. Where'd you put it?
I personally had it as an A, but the more I think about it, it's that touchscreen bit that just kind of bugs me more and more the more I think about it.
Yeah, kind of. It's like, Wind Waker's great, but boy, those DS sequels really hurt it. Kind of that same family.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a B.
Yeah. From what I'm thinking out loud, yeah.
B is still good. B is still good, as we just said.
But now we have another PS2 Xbox game, Curse of Darkness. This has nothing to do with the Belmonts or anything, because in all the games the Belmonts are usually associated with, Dracula comes back every 100 years, and that's when a Belmont steps up to take down Dracula. So this actually deals with Hector, who's known as a Devil Forge Master, who actually can create familiars to fight alongside you. So it plays similarly to Lament of Innocence, where it's a high-octane action game, but it plays a lot nicer. You actually have level ups this time around.
Good.
And you actually collect money, can buy new stuff. it's a nicer version of Lament of Innocence.
Okay.
I still probably wouldn't.
How much nicer? Yeah. Where'd you place it? A B?
Yeah, I'd have it as a B.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's okay. It's not
good.
Worth tracking down personally, but go for it if you want.
Well, we got another DS game.
Yep, Portrait of Ruin. This is a fun one. So in this one, this is the one that's supposed to tell the story of how the Belmonts eventually are able to get the vampire killer back. Because Richter screws everything up. He's my favorite Belmont, but of course, what happened? Lore reasons. Belmonts can't take it.
Yeah.
So
bit of a screw up.
Yeah, but you play as two characters simultaneously this time. One who is a whip wielder who has the vampire killer.
Why do I have a feeling that the touchscreen's going to be involved in a weird way here?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did this work? Is it more like a Mario and Luigi kind of thing?
Kind of like it's very minimal what you have to do, and it's optional too.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's optional.
Okay.
Because there, for example, there is a item you can get where you create a magnetic field around yourself, a magnetic rather, and there are like these iron rings throughout the castle you can latch onto. If you touch the touchscreen, pull down, and let go, you launch yourself up. However, if you just hold one of the shoulder buttons, hold down, and let go, wing, you go up that way too.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad they made another accessibility version for this, because that's probably the biggest problem with the DS in hindsight.
Exactly, but one of them is a whip wielder and the other is a magic wielder. And so you can switch between them and do better damage to various enemies who actually, are ones who are weak to magic, ones who aren't. It's a fun game. The one thing that kind of holds it back for me is that it's not a whole castle you're exploring. Like, the castle is smaller, but true to the name, Portrait of Ruin, you go into various paintings and pictures and fight the demons that hide in there that are bringing power to this version of Castlevania.
It's like a weird version of Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, you're having various mini castles inside of mini castles inside, a smaller hub world.
It's almost Simon's Questy.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's just, I was expecting to be able to do a whole big map. I have it as a B.
Okay.
It's a good one. Seek it out. It's fine.
Okay.
The Dracula X Chronicles. I never had a PSP. That's the only unfortunate part I can say about this, because this is a remake of Rondo of Blood in a 2.5D. So everything is in 3D, but that comes with the PSP and PS3 era of a lot of brown. It looks kind of rough. The nice thing about it is that it made it to where Rondo of Blood was, people could actually play it outside of the Japan at the time.
That's the biggest problem with the Rondo of Blood. So
yeah, exactly. Until the WiiWare version came out some years later. It's a fine enough version of it, but like I said, it's muddy. It doesn't feel like it's as fun to control. The nice thing too is that it also comes with a version of Symphony of the Night. The one thing I don't like about it,
what?
They retranslated everything and redubbed it.
Oh no! So they fixed it.
They fixed it.
Well, here, hold on. I mean, it's campy, awful, and hilarious as it is.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world. No, in this one he's like, Dracula, I've come to put an end to your reign. This generic, they sound a lot better, the performances are nicer, but that's not Castlevania.
No,
it's this weird over-the-top, monster
Resident
movie.
Evil.
Yes.
It's self-aware of how bad it is, and you have fun with the bad.
Like Resi 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's not a bad one. I've watched people play through it, and there's enough change-ups between the original and this one. Still, I'd probably put that as another, B, just for the value of having two games in one.
I guess.
That would be the only reason.
All right, last time we're on the DS, I think.
Yes, this is the last one, and I think this is the last Castlevania that Koji Igarashi actually produced. And the quality kind of goes all over the place, especially after this.
Yeah, well.
However, this one is called Order of Ecclesia. I am not the biggest fan of this one. The big reason being is that you're not really going and getting different weapons and all that stuff. You're still leveling and you're still exploring, but the world is broken down into chunks. There's a world map, and you go to various locations on the map and explore it that has its own secrets, like a Castlevania game. However, it's the glyph system that really just messes with me. So, she can't equip weapons. What she does is she absorbs glyphs because she's got a sigil on her back that allows her to absorb these magical glyphs to use a magic as her weapon. So she can get a stalks to stab people, or scythes or axes that she can wield. And it's also how she also casts other various spells and stuff. it's awkward. Like, you have to, like... You can't just, like, go to a monster who drops their glyph and just, like, grab it. And it doesn't come to you like in Aria or Dawn of Sorrow. You have to absorb it, like keeping with the lore, and that slows things down. It's hard. For me, it's, like, really difficult because I'm not so used to, like, not being able to find something where it's like, oh, I can increase my power twofold by equipping this, or, you know, no. And every time you attack with the glyph, it uses up your magic meter. So your magic meter becomes a stamina meter, basically.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, it's a fine experimentation, and the story and characters are nice in this one, but it's, again, these kind of games live and die by their gameplay.
Yeah.
And so it's the gameplay that just kind of...
And it's kind of weird that
down.
Castlevania keeps radically changing its gameplay when...
Yeah.
It's almost like it figured it out. It was really solid a few times, and then it just kind of started screwing around a lot.
Well, I guess the thought process is, how many times can we put out the same game before the sales numbers start ticking down and down? You know what I'm saying?
And I think they were changing the wrong things.
Okay.
And the sales were ticking down.
Reflecting that.
Yes.
I see. This one, I believe, is a C game. For me.
Yeah. Just slightly below the others on the DS group.
These next three aren't in a particular real order, because I couldn't quite remember where they fell, but... And these are ones I haven't put an awful lot of time in, so I didn't really rank them much.
So we'll just say...
Yeah.
Where do you feel like throwing them?
Okay, so Castlevania Rebirth is a remake of the first Game Boy game. It's really good. The music's really fun. If I get to get my hands on it, but I can't because it's a WiiWare only title, and Wii is dead.
Yep.
The Wii shop.
Goodbye.
Yep. So there's other means to do it, but I can't say them out loud.
Yep, that would be illegal.
That would be illegal. But it looks like a solid B or A game to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like if you were able to play it, that
If
is.
you were able to play
Wink,
it,
wink.
yeah. And-
B or A, which would you pick?
I would probably say a B game.
B.
Like it's very good.
Okay.
It's a really good game.
It's very good.
Yeah. Now this one I think is Harmony of Despair. This is okay. It's a cooperative multiplayer Castlevania game with grinding.
Oh my.
It's free to play, and it was on PS3 and 360. You're seeing where I'm going with this.
Oh my.
If you want anything good, or if you want to unlock new characters, you gotta pay up a little bit.
Oh no.
It's interesting in the fact, like, you see, like, the whole map.
Do you unlock them via gacha?
No.
This is before
you have
that
to
era.
grind out that.
So bad.
But, like, the whole point is each map you go in, everyone tries to get good enough to go and fight the boss at the end to beat the stage. And, like, it draws from the entire history up to that point.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I tried it. I could not get into it at all. I think this is, this was another D game for me, just for the grind and just for the exploitative kind of stuff.
That's a shame.
This one, however, is weird, odd, different, and bad for different reasons. Castlevania Judgment. It's a Castlevania fighting game.
No!
Well, now here's the thing.
Wait, why?
On the Wii, that uses Wii motion controls.
No!
Yes.
I want to see Merman versus the skeleton.
You can't actually fight mermen in this one, I think.
my god. Can you fight Mer Skeleton?
No, you can't fight Mer Skeleton. Now, the one thing that, okay, the idea of a Castlevania fighting game is not a bad one. I can see it working on like a Street Fighter level, like a locked 2D kind of
I was thinking
fighter,
like,
or like
a Streets of Rage. If you count that as a fighting, like a brawler. Yeah, that actually could be really cool.
Yeah,
but no, if you just mean one-on-one fighting game.
Yeah, no, this is a one-on-one fighting. And also too, the mangaka who did Death Note did all the character designs for this game.
I can see that actually.
I do not like his character designs.
That's weird.
There's too many belts. It's that Tetsuya Nomura problem. Too many belts.
Yeah.
And the female characters are too sexily dressed. Like, that's not always a complaint, because, like, okay, sure, eye candy, but
sometimes it fits your character.
Yeah, but no. Especially for, like, some of the younger characters.
If you can tell that they're trying too hard to do it, it's just like a turn-off in a game sense.
Yeah, so, no, just D. It's a D. Don't even worry about it.
Oof. D for don't bother.
Don't bother.
Don't bother.
And here is where my knowledge of the series really tapers off, but we're getting towards the end of the series as it stands.
Are you even still watching this video? I mean, we're trying our hardest.
We're trying so hard. Okay, so Lords of Shadow. This is the reboot of the entire series. Mercury Steam worked on this one.
Mercury Steam you might recognize from doing Metroid Dread and Metroid Samus Returns.
Yes, exactly.
Those people.
And Kojima actually was a creative assistant on this one as well. The only problem I have with this game is that it changes things up so radically. Like, at first I didn't realize when this came out this was like a reboot. I'm like, Gabriel Belmont, who is this Joker?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who this is. And so it's like, I'm playing this, and it takes ideas from a lot of popular games at the time and kind of makes it all into one.
Yeah.
So it plays like God of War in a fixed camera perspective, highly cinematic, and it's very much a hack and slash with your whip. There's Shadow of the Colossus bosses where you're climbing them, doing QTEs to take them down. So it's not even fun like Shadow of the Colossus where you have complete control.
Yeah, fun like Shadow of the Colossus, but we're not going to go there.
I still think you're wrong in your opinion.
No, we could probably do an entire video just talking about Shadow of the Colossus.
We will at one point. But anyway, so yeah, it's okay. It's another okay game, but Mercury Steam would go on to make better games. This is another one I had as a B.
Okay.
Like, it's playable, and it can be an awful lot of fun.
Okay.
And especially
That's all you really ask for in a video game.
Yeah. And then we come to the last two Lords of Shadow games. Now, for anyone who really is interested in the whole history, these are also available on Steam. You don't have to go out and get a PS3 or a 360 in order to be able to play these. Mirrors of Fate. This was originally a 3DS game, and this is where they start really kind of playing the idea around with the Metroidvania. So it's 2.5D. I don't know anything about the story. All I know is that what will soon be recognizable in Samus Returns and Metroid Dread is that there's a counter maneuver where you can actually kill enemies.
Attack mid cutscene.
Yeah, and there's this.
They definitely. It was actually this game that was a lot of the inspiration for that we saw in the Metroid games that they would later make.
Yeah, I never played this one. Like I said, after Lords of Shadow, my interest just kind of dropped.
I really want to play this one. For obvious reasons.
Yeah, don't go in with very high expectations.
No, I know, but at the same time,
just letting you know,
yeah,
it's not as Metroidvania as you would want it to be, like at all.
No, it's more of just like I just like Mercury Steam at this rate, so
right?
Just gonna try more what they're doing.
But to finally wrap up, we have Lords of Shadow 2, where the series died.
Where are you putting this guy first?
Where would I put it? C.
See,
okay.
Yeah,
why not?
Fair.
I mean, it's a weird 3DS game, but it's fine.
I mean, clearly if you've played and beaten the game and know a lot more about it, then your judgment's better than ours. We're just kind of going at this point.
And then for finally, Lords of Shadow 2. So would almost say don't bother playing these. You're still Gabriel Belmont, but because of events from the first game, you're not really Gabriel Belmont.
Okay.
Yeah, you are a certain vampire.
Oh, a certain one?
A certain one.
Okay. Well, there's only two.
Yeah. Just take your pick.
Okay. Alucard.
Sure. Anyway. But so again, it continues that sort of God of War gameplay, but you have more free-form camera movements, and it still starts out towards the end of the first game where it's like you're in power and all that, and then there's a time skip to like modern day.
Okay.
Like a futuristic, weird, like modern day world.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's like sneaking sections, and there's like a little bit Metroidvania where you're finding new power-ups and stuff and moving along, but who cares at this point? I certainly didn't, so I would probably have this as like a C or a D, take your pick.
We don't have as many in the D, so how about we drop that in there?
Yeah,
it levels it out a little bit better. You know what? Because we're so out of time anyway, I'm sorry, this is probably our longest hitbox ever.
Yeah.
But I still want to at least mention here that I think both of us would be up for doing an entire episode on what would we do with a modern Castlevania.
Yeah.
Or what do you keep? What do you try new things with? Because clearly this series has done a lot of experimentation.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something where they're clearly going to be hit or miss. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot more miss than hit when they try new stuff.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, you can kind of see this tier list is sagging. It's got a little bit of a beer belly down there and going towards the bottom. But the thing is, the stuff that is up by the top is outstanding.
Oh, absolutely.
So it clearly knows how to do it right. So I think we have a whole discussion we could do later of what would we do with
Dragon
a modern
Quest is
Castlevania.
Dragon Quest is my favorite series, but this was my first love in video games. This is my second favorite series of all time. I just can't help but love this whole gothic horror.
Yeah,
weird
this
shenanigans.
big whole beautiful mess.
Yeah, exactly. Hate Konami, but love this series.
Yeah. Where do the pachinko games go on here?
S tier, obviously.
Obviously.
Because there's slow-mo, stuff in there.
Of course.
Oh, God,
anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of HitBox. If you enjoyed the show, you can help us keep it alive by supporting us on Patreon with the links in the show notes and this video's description. For those of you on YouTube, remember to like the video and subscribe for more, and be sure to let us know what you thought of the show and what other topics you'd like to hear us cover in the future, and special thanks to all of our amazing Patreon members.
See ya.